Hi, my name is Bruno Sade from brunosade.com, and today I would like to talk about how to use EFT to work on our procrastination. First of all, some non-EFT tips that I think are important is to ask ourselves this task that we are procrastinating, is it something that we really want to do? Or is it something that we simply think that we should do? Like someone told us that we should do it, but it's not necessarily something that we want to do. I mean, obviously, we usually procrastinate on tasks that we don't perceive as necessarily fun or easy or enjoyable. But even if they aren't completely fun, easy, and enjoyable, maybe we still perceive them to be necessary in terms of achieving something. Like, for example, when we are in college and we have to study for an exam, that's not the most fun or easy thing in the world, but we see it as a necessary step towards the goal we are trying to achieve. So kind of like trying to connect to the why, to why we are trying to do this is important in terms of motivation and in terms of realizing whether it's something that we actually want to do or it's simply something that someone told us we should do, but we don't really want to do it, or it's not really aligned with our values. For example, when it comes to marketing or growing our business, in case you are an EFT practitioner or a coach or a therapist, when we look into different marketing strategies and tactics in the internet, we can find all kinds of advice. And sometimes some of the tactics that we are encouraged to implement are really somewhat unethical or manipulative or aggressive, pushy, high pressure sales tactics. And maybe the reason we are procrastinating on applying them is because they aren't really something that is aligned with our values and that we want to do. And so then maybe the solution, rather than trying to tap away those concerns, is to try to find some other tactic or strategy that feels more aligned with our values. So those are the non-EFT tips. Oh, and something else that is important is don't let EFT become another reason to procrastinate, right? So kind of like, I'm not gonna start doing this task or this activity until I have completely tapped on every single aspect, every single tappable issue that could be in the way of me doing this task. And that can become another reason to procrastinate. So I would say that, sometimes it's about tapping enough so that we can take that action with a regulated nervous system, rather than falling into the trap of perfectionism, thinking we have to tap on every single aspect, every single thing that could get in the way of us doing that task. So those are the non-EFT tips. When it comes to the actual EFT tips, what I would say is usually when we procrastinate, one of the reasons why we procrastinate has to do with fear. Like there's something about this task or about the consequences of having done this task that we perceive as somewhat negative, unpleasant, scary, or unsafe. So it can be useful to ask ourselves the question, what is something that could go wrong during this task or this activity that I'm procrastinating, or after this activity that I'm procrastinating? So let's say that, for example, in my case, that I was procrastinating on recording this video that I have started recording weekly. When I think about what is something negative or what could go wrong during the task itself, maybe some of the aspects that could show up for me is the idea that what if I'm too nervous while I'm recording the video? What if looking at the camera, at the webcam, feels kind of funny or feels kind of awkward? What if I'm too rigid and I'm gonna be talking and feeling very rigid and stiff, and that's not what I want to convey to the people watching this? So those are all the kinds of things that my mind or a part of me could be concerned that might go wrong, and therefore be afraid of that and have that as a reason to procrastinate. Or for example, what if I'm talking and as I make a mistake, I fumble, or I have to record another take and then another take and then another take, and it's going to take me forever. So these are things that could go wrong during the activity itself. When it comes to what are some things that could go wrong afterwards, let's say that I have recorded a video, but what is something that could go wrong after having recorded that video? Well, maybe when I rewatch it to edit it, for example, maybe I feel like I didn't do a very good job, and therefore I start judging myself, and that's going to feel very unpleasant. Therefore, that's another reason why I would want to procrastinate on recording the video. Or maybe I post it and someone might criticize me harshly, or maybe there's a certain person in my life, whether it's a relative or someone from high school or whatever, who might look at the video and judge me or make fun of me or anything like that. So all of these are made up scenarios. They might be rooted in previous experiences or not necessarily so, but these are all potential future events that we can tap on, that we can have as the focus of our tapping, so that we can diminish or release our unpleasant emotional reactions to these scenarios. So whether it's imagining myself trying to record the video and feeling really nervous or making many mistakes, and so I tap on how I feel about that happening, or whether it's imagining that I uploaded the video and someone makes fun of me or criticizes me or thinks something negative about me. So then I tap on how I feel about that, how I feel when I imagine that taking place. So basically, this would be my advice of the day for applying EFT on procrastination. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again on one of my next videos.